2022 was a wild year in the theme park industry. With most of the pandemic restrictions lifted, parks were back in full force. And despite all the great coasters that opened or were announced, the year wasn't without its tragedy and drama. Let's run it down from top to bottom. This is the year that was 2022 in the theme park industry. For as much optimism as we had coming into the new year, January got off to a really bad start. On January 2nd, SNS founder Stan Sheketz passed away at the age of 80, and 2 days later, Blue Streak at Conneaut Lake Park caught fire and was destroyed. The fire started during the demolition process. The next day, Hong Kong Disneyland shut down for 2 weeks because of a COVID outbreak. Rounding out a bad first week, Knott's Berry Farm announced that Montezuma's Revenge would be shut down until the summer of 2023, undergoing a massive renovation. We all knew that Wicked Twister had given its last rides the prior summer, but on January 14th, the Twisted Towers came down. Then, we heard a rumor that Ride of Steel at Darien Lake could be removed, but that turned out to be false. On the positive side, on January 20th, Iron Gwazi announced pass holder previews to start on February 11th, and its grand opening on March 11th. And on January 27th, Icebreaker held its media day. The month ended with the news that SeaWorld offered to buy Cedar Fair. This unsolicited move caught everyone off guard. On February 15th, Cedar Fair rejected that deal. On February 3rd, Laurent announced that their relocated Intamin Zaxbin, Vipère, was officially cancelled. Even with the track on site, the decision was made to not go through with the project. On February 18th, Cedar Point made their decision to keep Top Thrill Dragster closed for all of 2022. But there were two positive developments at the end of the month. Hershey Park announced Jolly Rancher Remix, the renovation of their Vekoma Boomerang, and Peppa Pig Theme Park opened in Winter Haven, Florida. Once March rolled around, we had a retheme, a new park, a new coaster, and a rumored closure. Six Flags announced that Bizarro would be rethemed as Medusa, the same name it originally had for its first 9 years of operation. And 3 days later, just down south, Pantheon opened for pass holders at Busch Gardens Williamsburg. At the other Busch Gardens, rumors started swirling about the demise of Kumba. Apparently, it was going to close at the end of the 2022 season, but the park quickly shut down that rumor. One of the biggest stories of the year happened at Icon Park when a 14-year-old boy fell out of the Orlando Freefall, the world's tallest freestanding drop tower. The ride was shut down, and on October 6, the park announced the ride would be removed. The next day, Sesame Place San Diego made its grand debut, and 2 days later, Codaland announced that it intends to be a full theme park by 2023, including a brand new tilt coaster added to their lineup. In April, we turned our sights to the future, as B&M Track arrived at SeaWorld Orlando for their 2023 project, and Europa Park announced their 2024 coaster, a Big Dipper model for mock rides. On April 29th, Kings Island celebrated its 50th birthday, and 9 days later, the Beast reopened after a major retracking. On June 3rd, SeaWorld released the official teaser for their new B&M, confirming that it was a surf coaster, and it would have 2 across stand-up trains. Lost Island in Waterloo, Iowa was scheduled for its grand opening on June 10th, but that was pushed back to June 18th. They would open, still without their star coaster, Madugane. The last week of June was a distressing one for the industry, as on June 22nd, the bat at Kings Island had a wheel come loose, causing an evacuation, and the ride had to be closed for several weeks. 2 days later, the RMC Raptors closed down to fix an issue with their trains. Then, on June 27th, Cedar Fair dropped a bombshell on the industry. They sold the land under California's Great America to a company called Prologis, and they announced the park would be phased out over the next 11 years. The next day, Gilroy Gardens announced that Cedar Fair has no longer been the operator of that park as of the end of 2021. Going into July, Six Flags Over Texas announced the inevitable. Their long-awaited Aquaman Power Wave would be delayed for yet another year, now slated for 2023. 2 days later, Hershey Park announced that the original GCI, Wildcat, would be closing on July 31st, so come get your last rides. July 16th was a tale of two parks in Southern California. While Wonder Woman Flight of Courage was making its debut at Magic Mountain, Knott's was closing down early due to fights and chaos, following reports of gunfire. This led to a chaperone policy by the park to supervise anyone under 18. On July 30th, Dr. Diabolical's Cliffhanger opened at Six Flags Fiesta, Texas, and on July 31st, Wildcat gave its final ride. Into August, Dollywood started the season of new announcements with Big Bear Mountain, a Vekoma family coaster located in Wildwood Grove. Adventureland followed with their announcement of Flying Viking, a Zamperla Jr. coaster, and then Cedar Fair made their big announcements on August 11th. Cedar Point would be getting the boardwalk along with a new Wild Mouse coaster. Carowinds would be getting a new themed area called Aeronautical Landing. Canada's Wonderland announced a new family coaster from Art Engineering called Snoopy's Racing Railway. Knott's Berry Farm announced that Montezuma's Revenge would reopen in 2023 as Montezuma's Revenge: The Forbidden Fortress, and it would have some major renovations. This looks to include new trains with new restraints, a new launch system, and a randomized launch sequence. Now, riders may be launched forward or backward. Finally, Worlds of Fun announced Zambezi Zinger, a GCI wooden coaster with a spiral lift hill, paying homage to the original that opened with the park in 1973, as Worlds of Fun is set to celebrate its 50th anniversary. Later in the month, 13 people were injured on El Toro when a part of the substructure failed, causing a jolt to the train. This was after the track was torn up due to the back car coming off the track in 2021. The next month, the state of New Jersey declared that El Toro was structurally compromised and would remain closed indefinitely. Despite these problems, Six Flags pledged to fix and reopen El Toro for the 2023 season. August rounded out with Six Flags Over Texas announcing that Mr. Freeze would be closing on September 11th. But the next day, they eased some fears by saying the coaster was not going away, and to stay tuned. On September 23rd, the park announced that Mr. Freeze would run forward once again, as it did from 1998 through 2011. On September 6th, we got two major announcements. First, Cedar Point did not mention Top Thrill Dragster when they announced the boardwalk, but they finally addressed the elephant in the room. They confirmed it would not go away, but it would be reimagined. Also, Busch Gardens Williamsburg announced their new for 2023 edition, the Indoor Intamin Family Launch Coaster, Dark Coaster. This will be built in the building where Curse of Dark Castle used to be. On September 12th, Joyland in Lubbock, Texas announced that they would not be able to reopen the park, ending its 75-year run. But just over a month later, Joyland was saved by two local businesses, and they announced it would reopen for 2023. On September 17th, Carowinds closed early due to fights breaking out inside the park, and they joined their Cedar Fair sister park, Knott's Berry Farm, by implementing a chaperone policy. A week later at Kennywood, 3 people were shot as someone was able to get a gun inside the gates. This led to more security, a new bag policy, banning ski masks, more cameras, though they did already have a chaperone policy in place. In late September, SeaWorld made more announcements, as San Diego unveiled Arctic Rescue, an Intamin family launch coaster. Then, San Antonio announced Catapult Falls, the world's first launch log flume, featuring the world's steepest flume drop. But SeaWorld and the rest of the parks in Florida had to take cover on September 28th, as the Category 4 Hurricane Ian bore down on the state, causing major damage and causing a phased reopening of these parks over the next few days. October was a month of more announcements, as Busch Gardens Tampa unveiled Serengeti Flyer, the new world's tallest and fastest S&S Scream and Swing, and SeaWorld Orlando officially announced Pipeline the Surf Coaster, finally giving us a name, stats, and details of those stand-up trains, as they would bounce up and down to simulate surfing. Cedar Fair also had some late announcements to follow up the ones made in August, as Kings Dominion and Carowinds confirmed that they would be open year-round starting in 2023, being open every weekend in January through March when the parks used to close down. Kings Island also announced Adventure Outpost, a renovated area of the park between Coney Mall and the Action Zone. This includes 2 new flat rides, as well as an upgrade to the theme of Adventure Express. On October 26, Silver Dollar City's train derailed and some of the cars tipped over, injuring 7 people. The first half of November was exciting, as on the 1st, Universal Orlando announced a new area of family entertainment, but it would come at the expense of existing attractions, including Woody Woodpecker's Nut House Coaster. The next day, Hershey Park made the official announcement for Wildcats Revenge, the RMC conversion of Wildcat set to open next summer. 2 days after that, Zamperla and Playland in Vancouver announced that they were working on relocating a coaster, this being the old Intamin accelerator coaster Senza Fiato from Miragica in Italy. Zamperla will replace the hydraulic launch with an LSM launch. On November 16th, we got official word from Lagoon that their long-awaited coaster would finally open. Using the name Primordial, this interactive indoor-outdoor coaster is set to debut in 2023. Just like the start of 2022 when we lost Stan Checketts of S&S, we found out that we lost another leader in the amusement industry on November 18th. This was Alberto Zamperla, serving as president of the company founded by his father in 1966. 2 days later, a massive personnel shakeup rocked the amusement world and beyond, as Disney ousted their CEO, Bob Chapek, bringing back the recently retired Bob Iger. The impact of this change is yet to be known, but should be significant for all aspects of the Disney company. For our friends down under, on December 2nd, SeaWorld Australia opened its first modern wooden coaster in Leviathan. The next week, Six Flags Fiesta Texas caught everyone off guard by announcing the first Biscotti coaster, a dueling Skyline family coaster. Just to temper the positive vibes of new additions, Busch Gardens Williamsburg confirmed the rumors to be true. Mock Tower was announced to close on January 8th. So, looking back at the year as a whole, what were the most important stories of the year? Some of these sparked a lot of interest but turned out to be nothing. SeaWorld offering to buy Cedar Fair, the rumors of Kumba's closure, those come to mind. The accident on the Orlando freefall reached across the amusement industry and into the mainstream media. Same with Bob Iger replacing Bob Chapek. That makes sense because that affects every aspect of the Disney company, and we will find out how that will change the company and the parks in the years to come. But to me, these are the 5 most impactful theme park stories of the year. Number 5. El Toro's accident. Given the problems this had in 2021, another major issue put the ride's future in danger. Six Flags said they want to repair it and reopen it for 2023, but who knows how many lives El Toro has left. Number 4. Hershey Park announcing the closure of Wildcat. Nobody knew for sure what was going to happen to Wildcat. I thought it would get Titan Track and not the RMC treatment. But this announcement, plus RMC's social media hinting that they were going to get this job, that was a major development, and it meant that one of the best coaster parks in the country was about to get a top-tier coaster. Number 3. Codaland announcing their intention to become a full theme park, including their new tilt coaster. We knew they were building a new Gerstlauer, but didn't know the extent of their plans. Now we know. We should be getting another real theme park in Texas in the years to come. Number 2. Cedar Point confirming that Top Thrill Dragster would be reimagined. This was something that I expected, but didn't know their intentions. I would not have been surprised if they said it was going to be removed. This at least confirmed that the ride would still exist. It would just be different. Number 1. Cedar Fair sells the land under California's Great America, and confirms it will be phased out over the next 11 years. I think this was the most discussed story of the year. In a year that we all got to know the name Selim Bassoul, Cedar Fair was the one giving their park a death blow. A very solid mid-sized park in Northern California. The story hasn't been written on this yet. This will unfold over the next couple years, but this story caused an earthquake in the industry, and rightfully so. That's all I have for 2022. I'm sorry if I missed anything. I just spent the last year writing down every story that I came across, so I could have easily omitted something important. So if I did, let me know in the comments below. Before you go, don't forget to drop a like, and if you're new here and love coasters, please give me a sub. Also, check out my links below for my Discord server, and my second channel where I post copyright-free off-ride footage, and my baseball channel if you also happen to be a baseball fan. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all next time.